All right, guys, welcome back to Shot to the Nog, episode numero dos. That's 2 for people that don't speak Chinese. We're back, and if you heard the previous episode, we had a special call-in at the end of our show.
Which was awesome.
Paulinda, I'm not sure I can say her last name, so I won't. But if you know who Paulinda is, right, she's this insane woman that calls from Miami, pretty much. Because that's the area code that comes out on the caller ID, and what it is she calls a gym up, asks them a bunch of funny questions, and then starts to get angry and tries to get a fight, if you will, out of the person on the other end. However, this is the thing: she only talks to women.
Right. She's known for this.
Yeah, and I've been reading the article, which you guys can find at jujitsutimes.com. The link will be in the description when you see the video. It's on last week's podcast too.
Yeah.
And pretty much, like, it's been going on for years, and it just came up last year around the same time. The article came out, and what she does is she calls a gym, and I have actually word for word when she called here back in September, and
we had a blast with it. It was just incredible.
And when the girl at the front desk, Nikki, by the way, she answers the phones for us. She found the article for us. She Googled the girl's name and found the article, and it was word for word. And here's some of the details. Her name is Paulinda. She's 5'9", 194 pounds, 42-year-old, moved from Puerto Rico, trained at Gracie, Baja, Miami, a 2-stripe or 3-stripe brown belt, depends on who she's talking to. She likes to roll hard. She said she did 40 rounds with a brown belt male that didn't want to tap. And broke his leg in 3 places. He needed to go to the hospital.
It wasn't me.
And that's what she was asking Nikki. She's like, "Oh, are the guys over there? Do they have egos?" Because she mentioned I broke this guy's leg in 3 places because he wouldn't tap. And well, initially when John and I heard that, we looked at each other. We're like, "Oh, really?" We wanted that. We welcomed the challenge. We're like, "Oh, she wants to break legs. We're gonna have to dust off our old shit."
That's what make us get into the breaky stuff.
Yeah, right into
breaky.
So we found that interesting, right? And then of course she tells everybody she recently moved to the gym near wherever you're at. God damn it! Sorry, guys.
So we like chimes.
Bells and whistles again. Right, so, and the main thing is that she speaks to only females.
Yeah.
Right? Which is really weird because I hadn't realized this was her because she calls all the time. I mean, back in September, between September and October, she called constantly.
Called you in the past?
And I've heard her,
yeah.
and she keeps asking for Nikki, like Nikki. And I recognize her voice every time she called, but she kept only asking for Nikki. Is Nikki there? Can I speak to Nikki? And then she asked me questions like, "Oh, does Nikki train?" She said she was the head instructor there. I'm like, "No, you're talking to the head instructor. I'm the black belt here." And she goes, "Oh, that's great." And I actually got her to talk to me a few times, a little longer. She kept asking, "Oh, what time is your class?" And it's 7:45. She said, "Okay, I'll be there today." And she said that often, but never showed up. Right? That's why we were all, every time the doorbell rings here, everybody's like, "Paulinda?"
Everybody looked towards the buzzer.
Yeah, yeah.
The whole class.
I remember one time we actually all ran to the door to see who, because we let somebody in.
Stand in front.
Yeah, we were all waiting for somebody, but it was damn Armando. Nobody cares.
Well, not,
I'm messing with him, right? So the great thing is that when she called during the podcast, right? If you hear it, and I'm gonna play it for you guys. If you hear it, at first thing she says is wrong number. And then John goes into this Juanita character. We haven't named her yet.
I don't know.
And he's like, "Hello." It's hilarious, right? Which actually kept her on the phone.
Yeah.
It kept her on the phone.
Somehow it worked. The chemistry, it's really fascinating because it was very, we shot from the hip.
Yeah.
It was like we were shooting from the hip on this one, and we were excited about it. And it was like, I just felt like, okay, she's about to hang up. I remember thinking, what can we do to keep on?
Yeah.
Let me go across the room and act like a lady that works here. One of the girls. And I was doing it in a comic way, but it worked out. I was like, hello.
And the crazy thing is, when I went into Bane, right, and he was it was 2 completely different characters no relation to each other. We were talking about two different things. He was actually talking to her. I kind of went off and did a whole Bane gimmick thing.
We had a serious, beautiful paradox happening.
And it was amazing because she actually laughs on the phone.
Yeah, that was the to me, that was the highlight.
That was the
highlight.
Because we actually got her to break whatever character she's trying to do.
And then she tried. Though at the end, you see her get real military about it.
Yeah.
And then we still made it.
And she goes into like, what the heck, right? She said something like that.
She was first you hear her say like, what the heck? And
she's like cracking up. And then she's laughing. You can hear her like,
ay Dios mío.
Yeah, and then I guess she figured I gotta keep this going. And then she goes off. Why you post crap about me on the internet and stuff? Are you serious? More bells and whistles.
That's basically what was happening. That's good. We have good energy.
It was all, I told you before, guys, we have no format.
But we do have it. We can actually show you. We're going to go live.
We're going to play it.
And play it in the as we go. So you're going to listen a little bit.
Yeah, let's see if you guys can hear. So, hello? This is what her calling. Hello? Hi. Hey, how are you? There's a bell.
Hello? Yes? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
I can't hear you.
This is Eric. Eric? Okay. I think it's the wrong number.
See, wrong number.
Are you sure? Hello? Yeah. Wrong number. You're calling the... Are you... You want to speak to Eric? Who? Hello? Hold on. Let me put you on with this guy.
And then here comes Bane.
Hello? Okay. How can I help you this morning? Wrong number. Is it a wrong number? No. Or do you feel you have power over me? Ma'am. What the hell?
What the hell? That's what she says.
Hello, Paulina.
There she's cracking up.
Can I help you?
Paulina.
I'm going to give the city back to the people.
That's not so funny.
Why are you laughing at me?
I thought she was calling me insane.
Yeah.
How may I be of service to
We
you?
kept her interested.
Paulina, why are you calling my school?
She kept interested. She didn't hang up.
Why you do this?
Linda.
Paulina, you must be pretty.
She's cracking up.
In the background. You know it's funny because I'm going one way.
Yeah.
In the corner playing with project style.
Listen, do you know why you write some bullshit crap?
See, here she's trying to get a rise,
Because you're lovely.
but she can't get it.
Your language is very insulting to me. No, I'm a lady, okay? I'm a lady.
You can hear the smile. If you really listen, she's trying to be serious with a smile. You can hear it.
And then she hung up.
Yeah. Except in the movie, I have a British accent.
So
I don't know why that is.
yeah, so pretty much right. So what we found really fun and amazing was that we kept her on the line, and if at all, she's probably gonna call back because she generally calls back often. Now, the last time I spoke to her, I was here by myself, and the phone rang, and I immediately went into the Bane voice, and she hung up. She immediately hung up, right?
You have to be passive, I think. You have to be soft and welcoming,
And the thing is, when we did that, she could have easily hung up. She could have just said, hell with this. These guys they're on to me.
I think she was entertained at that point.
And then she liked it.
It was like she was busted.
Yeah.
And she was just laughing about it. But she said, let me keep going.
And she went right into her shtick, which is the whole trying to get a fight.
Yeah.
Because that's most of the comments I read in the article, in the BJJ Times article, Jiu Jitsu Times article, everybody argues with her. Everybody is.
Then the blowhorn too.
And they do the blowhorn, and they also they even threaten to call the police. And then she in to get back at you, she says she's gonna call the police because you're harassing, you're racist, right? She was already going into the whole sexist. I'm a woman from another country. She was trying to get a rise out of us.
Sounds like something we just went through with Conovan. What's his name?
He
just fought. No,
anyway,
court case with the judge.
Oh yeah. So, but this is what's funny, and we wanted to just back up so you guys, if you didn't know who Paulinda was, you kind of know now. She is this harassing woman that calls gyms I even saw they've received calls in Melbourne, Australia. So she calls everywhere, and it's all the same story. She doesn't change her story. She's changed her names 3 times, I think. Her names have been, according to the article, I think Laura, Gabby, and Paulinda, or Paulina, actually. So
that's
those
why I
two.
called her that. I think originally because I think we read the article.
And she corrected you. Paulinda.
It's Paulinda. And that's
Paulinda.
Why, and because Linda in Spanish basically means pretty.
Yeah, pretty, right.
So I laughed. I said, "You must be pretty." She cracked up.
She loved it.
Yeah.
She loved it. But it's interesting because she is Latin American. She has to be. because she said, "Ay Dios mío."
I'm trying to figure out if it's her by herself or if it's somebody with her.
It would be really cool if she was in a room with other people
And
and they were laughing.
And that's why she laughed.
Yeah,
and they were like, focus.
Get back into it.
It's funny because I remember back in the days the Jerky Boys.
The Jerky Boys, right?
And I'm trying to figure, is this some kind of jiu-jitsu version of that?
It'd be interesting.
They got that guy, the comedian guy that always does the comedy stuff with jiu-jitsu, like challenging, like he challenged.
Yeah, Renato Larange.
Yeah.
He's a fake 22-degree black belt. It's one.
He's like a comedy. He's
37 world championships. It's only been like 20.
What's his name? Ken. What's his name? Master Ken version of jiu-jitsu.
Right, the Ameridote guy.
Yeah,
Ameridote. Right.
I was thinking maybe they're trying to do something like that. Maybe she's low budget, or I mean, unless something's really mentally wrong.
And this is this is the thing. In the article, it mentions that she picks a school and she calls them months on end, years even. The calls last years, right? And it was a topic on Reddit, which kind of brought it to light, and everybody's like, "Are you serious? I've also been contacted by Poland." If you look at the comments, there's just like 50 people commenting, "Yeah, this happened to me. This happened to me." And some people were like really, really, really angry, and other people were just laughing in the comments.
I'm trying to think of what other people would do. But she called in New York place. She called us here in Queens. We're in Long Island City, Queens.
I'm pretty sure Marcelo Garcia wouldn't have sat down and talked to her.
Can you imagine? That's a whole... I'm trying to picture like all these characters, people, and like, oh no, this is the wrong place.
Yeah.
Like I could hear him like I don't know. I'm sorry, lady. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know?
Some funny
Henzo.
stuff. Yeah, Henzo.
Who is this lady calling? Imagine all those characters that are out there.
I'm dying to know. Has she called any of the big schools?
That's true. Good point. She must have, though. She's calling that many people.
Yeah, because
maybe it's a big school person doing it.
It could be. Right?
They're messing with all the other schools.
Right. But it's funny. She has to have some knowledge of jiu-jitsu because she does say she's a 3-stripe brown belt.
The terminology, she knows it. She knows the culture.
Yeah.
She definitely is familiar with the culture.
She has to
the
either
whole
train
wearing the thong, also
under the gi.
It's like ridiculous. You have to know the culture to understand how to affect the people in the culture.
Yeah.
It's like calling not to be, if I can say this kindly, it's like calling a Hasidic Jew and telling him, do you eat pork or you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be a Christian and is this the right place? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, you gotta know the culture to some
asking
level.
Questions that only jiu-jitsu people would know.
Exactly.
Right?
Like that's what it
should I wear a rash guard under my?
Yeah.
Of course you wear a rash guard.
I'd be like, no, unless you have a rash. You have to have a rash to wear a rash guard.
So yeah, we found that hilarious, and we're we hope she calls again because we definitely welcome her with open arms.
Oh, it's gonna be fun.
Some other characters.
And if I'm saying this, it's not because it's planned, but it'd be great if she calls today. Because it was awesome. This time last week.
Yeah, it was around 6:30.
Is this when we,
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
it's so awesome if she does.
But it was hilarious, and it took us off what our topic was, right, which was the martial arts, and
we were just about to talk about. Oh no, at the end we said it. We were talking about loyalty.
Loyalty, right? Loyalty.
And then we were transitioning into. Well, in short, we never got to talk about you. Actually,
right.
And if we could now, moving forward, I guess whatever time we got, I'd like to go into you because it was not fair. We kind of joked on it, but you told me it was planned. So I want to take it from here and actually ask because we did talk a little bit about your catch as catch can, but we didn't get into your history. And so if it's okay, I'd like to start now. Asking those questions.
Absolutely.
I mean? Like, what got you into this? What age were you, first of all?
I started jiu-jitsu when I was 31. I got late in the game because pretty much I was a correction officer for several years, and I spent my 20s pretty much doing that.
Wow, there's some stories there.
I worked in jail. I worked in jail for many years. That. Yeah, there's a lot of funny stories and a lot of not so funny stories, but interesting stories, right? But I did corrections for many years, and then I had to leave. I had to quit my job I'll explain that another time because it's too long a story. It's too long a story, and we need at least 2 episodes to cover that.
So if you guys want to know more about that, please
tune
send
in.
The questions.
I'll absolutely cover that. It's an unfortunate thing. It's just in corrections at that time. It was weird because you have this camaraderie with your partners, and you have good ones and you have bad ones, and then either you stick together or you don't. That's how kind of you survive in corrections. You need good help. You need backup, like in life, in anything. You can't do anything on your own. That's a shoot, right? But the thing is, right, what happened to me, and I'm going to make it real short, is as a rookie, I was put in a situation that I shouldn't have been put in, and the supervisor of the scenario, he could.
We're not dropping any names.
He could no. Okay, yeah, it would be terrible. But they're probably all retired anyways. But at the first facility I worked in, got into an incident. It was clean. It was a clean incident. However, it was altered by the supervisor. And eventually that came back and caught up, and I had to leave.
Okay, so we're going to leave that there as a teaser, because that's obviously a cliffhanger. That's a good cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But going back to...
Right. So once I was done with corrections, I kind of went into some really bad, deep depression. I was drinking a lot while working. That's another story, too. I was a functioning drunk at Rikers Island. I would do my job immaculate, right? I was always on point. My count was always straight. That's an important thing. If you're a CO, you have to have a good count. Right? If you're off by one, there's problems. Somebody escaped. So you have to make sure your count is right. Right? My job was care, custody, and control of inmates, right? And I was good at that. I was really good at that. I was actually planning to go into ESU, the Emergency Service Unit. I was actually on my way to studying to take the captain's exam, which is the supervisor. I was also trying to get into gang intelligence. I had a couple friends that were in gang intelligence, and they were gonna, push me through and stuff. I was good. I was a good correction officer. I really thought that's where my life was beginning and
after
ending
the
there.
incident, you still worked there?
I did for a little while, and then I quit, right? Because I had options. The incident, it was going to go to trial. There was a whole bunch of stuff, and they gave me the option to quit, right? The only thing was I couldn't do any police. I couldn't do NYPD. I couldn't do any city law enforcement.
So it was big.
Definitely
got it. I'd love to hear more about that. This is actually something very interesting.
Yeah, I can't even own a gun.
Wow.
But again, so let's go now into where jiu-jitsu came in.
Yeah, like how soon, or did you go right into jiu-jitsu?
No, actually it didn't. It was a couple years, right? It was like maybe a year or two actually after I had quit my job. This is the thing, right? As I worked in corrections, I had made a lot of friends who actually trained at Matt Serra's school out in Long Island. What? And and I had a buddy of mine, Edgar Morales, who actually trained at Henzo's while I was working in corrections. So he would always, explain to me about jiu-jitsu and stuff. And my best friend JP was also a big fan of martial arts in general. And
shout out to JP.
Yeah, JP Bravo, best bud in the whole world. Right, I owe him a lot. So that's where this comes in, right? So after corrections, I had known people that had trained, and it's funny because there was a couple of uses of force, and that's what we call fights on the island. Uses of force where I actually had used. Now, as a big pro wrestling fan, right? I did research, and I did know that there was some actual catch wrestling is pro wrestling, right? Well, back in the day, not so much now. There's a couple guys that do catch, a couple female actually that do catch.
I don't know. We're gonna touch base on what catch wrestling is. Yeah. We're gonna call it classical American wrestling or jiu-jitsu. Yeah. But I think that's a good topic for an actual podcast one day, because that's a very rich topic.
Yeah.
But because if we go into that now, we're gonna cut out your information. I want to continue on that.
Yeah. I was about to say is that they actually started calling me Baby Gracie over there on the island because there was an incident where I had to take an inmate down, and I was able to. And there's something called a PBA, a personal body alarm, that everybody wears as an officer, and you hit the button, it sends an alarm in the building, and they send the probe team, which is like 3 or 4 guys dressed in suits, with the headgear, with the big vests and sticks, and they come in and they try to control the area. So when they busted in through the door, I had a guy in a Fujiwara armbar, which is pretty much I'm sitting on his shoulder and I'm cranking his arm up between my legs so he wouldn't move. I wasn't trying to break it. I was just trying to keep him down because he's a big guy. And it was me and another officer, and it was a female with me, and she tried her best to help me, but she really couldn't do much. And I was able to sit on the guy, and I was a little heavier back in the day, so I was able to crank his arm, right? Wow. And then the guys came in, they're like, "Whoa, what? CO, what the hell?"
They killed the guy.
They're like, and then they grabbed him and they put the flex cuffs on him, these plastic cuffs, and then from there on afterwards, people would, "Hey, Baby Gracie, what's up?"
That is cool.
And I hadn't noticed, I didn't realize it, right? Because I knew of jiu-jitsu, but I wasn't. Like, I didn't know the Gracies. Like, I knew of Hoist from UFC, and I knew, like, some stuff, but I wasn't really deep into jiu-jitsu, right? So when they call me Baby Gracie, I'm like, "Who's that? Baby Gracie?" Hoist Gracie. I'm like, "Is that the guy from UFC?" They said, "Yeah, okay." So that was my connection to jiu-jitsu back in those days. I had friends that trained. I had partners that trained. Fast forwarding now to me not having a job, was in depression. My best friend saw that, and he says, "Erick, let's go here. I'm going to take you for a ride." I said, "All right."
JP?
Yeah, JP took me for a ride, and we went to Lotus Club on what was it, 45th Street, Astoria over here. Right, and I walked in and I saw Fabricio and Eduardo, and JP introduced me to them. I'm like, oh, hey, how you guys doing? I was like, yeah, Erick's gonna take a class today, and they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna have fun. He used to be a correction officer, and oh yeah, that's cool. It's like police, right? Yeah, it's police in jail, right? Okay, so then the class was later on that day. He kind of just went in there to introduce me to them. Fast forward a little more, now I go next door, Keiko. Right, Keiko Sports, the store.
So for you people that don't know, there was in the Lotus Club back in the day, it was like a joint venture sort of, but because there was really no war between the guys.
it was the store next to Lotus Club, and Paula, the front desk girl, I love her. She's one of my best friends. She lives in Arizona. Pretty much, she worked the front desk at Lotus, and she worked the front desk at Keiko.
Yeah.
Right? So that was kind of the connection there, and they were friends. And Junior, Junior, I love that guy. He's in Brazil. More bells and whistles.
That's a hello to Junior.
Yeah. So yeah, I met them, and JP's like, all right, so pick a gi out. I'm like, dude, are you serious? He goes, yeah, I got you. It was like it was a late birthday gift, right? My birthday had just passed. And he's like, yeah, I got you, Erick. Just, pick a gi out.
That's what friends do.
Summer white. That was my first gi, right? The summer white Keiko. KeikoUSA.com, guys. Check it out. It's got the best stuff. Only the best word Keiko, right?
That's right. It's funny. That's a really good brand. And we're not just saying it.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the top brands.
I love that. I love that gi and the brand. I only wear Keiko. So, yeah. I put a gi on. And then Junior handed me the belt, not knowing that I didn't know how to train. And I start to tie the belt like no one knows, right? From the back to the front. If you know jiu-jitsu, you tie it from the front to the back. As soon as I put it behind my back, he goes, no, my friend, no. Let your professor do it. He was laughing at me so hard. He's like, this idiot, what are you doing? He doesn't know how to tie a belt. I didn't know, right? I
don't know if he would say you're an idiot for not knowing, but...
The way he laughed at me, that's how I felt. That's how I felt like an idiot.
It can come off like that, yeah. It's sort of Brazilian diplomacy.
Yeah, but it was funny, right? So then... he tells me, he buys a gi for me. I'm like, oh, thanks, brother. I'll pay you back. He says, no, don't worry about it. And also, by the way, I bought you 6 months up front at Lotus Club. I'm like, dude. And my mouth just dropped.
Amazing. That is a best friend.
And I was like, wow. I was like, dude, really? And he goes, yeah, you need it, Erick. He saw that I was in this hole, and he reached into that hole and pulled me out.
There aren't many friends that actually do these kind of things. When you get these kind of friends, they're far and few in between.
Yeah, he's one in a million. He's by far, he's my brother. We're brothers from different parents, and his kids are mine.
Brother from nephews, another mother.
Yeah, right. And my nephews are his kids. They call me Uncle Erick. It's his family. It's 100%. We grew up together. We were in goddamn preschool together.
Dude, family isn't always blood.
It's true. And he's one of the greatest friends I've ever had. And so he paid this for me, and I said, thanks, bro. And I took my first class and never looked back.
So after the 6 months were over, you actually ended up joining?
And I was actually paying and stuff. And the crazy thing is, I actually had lost my job after that. Wow. And that's when Paula and Junior, they actually extended their arm to me and said, hey, you want to work here? And I worked at Keiko. at Keiko for a little bit. And
I'm jealous.
I also and I even got to work at Lotus Club for a little bit, right? Wow. Considering that I wasn't making any money, so I would go to the gym, I'd clean the gym, I'd do the laundry, just like a regular jiu-jitsu store. The guy lives on the mats, cleans the mats.
Miyagi style.
Yeah, old school, right? So I'd be there all the time, and I was there so much there was a guy who called me the mayor of Lotus Club because if you were at Lotus Club, you always saw me there, right?
MOLC.
Yeah, so it was fun, man. That the first year of training was intense. And I fell in love with it immediately. I was like never looking back.
That's pretty cool.
And
Jiu-Jitsu has that effect on people.
Amazing,
it's a lifestyle.
Like, and this is the thing, man. A lot of people there's a specific kind of person that it takes to train jiu-jitsu because not everybody likes it. Yeah, right. Because after you get your blue belt, there's a huge drop off. People either it's life or maybe it's dropping. Too much. Yeah, the higher you go in rank, it's less and less people. So if 50 people start, maybe 3 of those 50 people make it to black belt.
Yeah, right? Some of our students have these little memes where they talk about that. It's like a 10,000 to 1.
Yeah, it's insane. But I stuck it the whole way, with the different locations we were at. The gyms closed and stuff like that. I went through all of that, and then I met Leo when I was a blue belt and kind of switched over to him, which is another story. after meeting Leo, like we clicked instantly. He actually
easy to click.
Yeah,
He's the most
and
charismatic.
seeing him, but when you see him the first time, he's a scary dude. Here's this white dude covered in tattoos. Looks like he's about to, take your
By
wallet.
covered, he means head to toe.
Head
literally.
to toe. The dude's got a bulldog right on the top of his head.
Not on his face, but everything else.
Yeah. He hasn't done his face. I don't know why. He's come that close. I mean, it's at the hairline, right? He says he has no hair no more. He just said, I might as well put a tattoo there. Like Bam Bam
He's
Bigelow.
also a tattoo artist,
Yeah.
a musician.
Yeah, a musician, right. Yeah.
Great
YouTube Street Bulldogs. I know he's going to hate me for that. But
Yes.
he's a rock star, a legit rock
Totally,
star.
totally.
Right. So, so after that, I switched over to Leo, and he helped me out a lot, man. I learned a lot from Lotus Club, but I really refined my jiu-jitsu with
bonded
Professor
with
Leo.
him also.
Yeah, and
You
it was
bonded. You
an
can see
instant
that.
connection. It was an instant connection. And with Leo, it was insane, man, because like I knew some of the stuff I knew I was pretty good at, right? I was a blue belt, but he said, "Oh, that's good, Eric. That's good, Eric." And he's like, "Well, here, maybe you should change a few things."
That's a shout out to Leo.
Yeah,
now.
Leo, right on. Every bell, every whistle is for somebody else. So yeah, with Leo, he told me, yeah, that's good. That's a good technique, but here, let me alter it for you, and then maybe this work a little easier for you. Because his whole thing on jiu-jitsu is he'd rather it be efficient and fast, right? He wants to finish a guy, submit him as fast as possible. He doesn't like going around in circles, right? And that's also attributed to the fact that he has terrible knees. I mean, he has 0 ligaments in both knees. His knees are shot.
We're catching up on that.
Yeah, it's a thing, right?
Well, that's the efficiency of jiu-jitsu also, right?
And he made it that way. He took it and he turned it into something a little more efficient, and it's well taken. It's good stuff. And when I teach, I have a lot of that in me. So, which is why I do a lot of the catch stuff too, because a lot of the catch stuff is simple. Granted, some of it's strength based, but some of the stuff you can actually combine, like kimuras, and there's a right way to do a kimura, and then there's the muscle way. And if you're not a strong guy, that's when I throw my little salt and pepper on it to make it efficient enough for you can finish it no matter what size you are, and that's what I kind of take from
something
catch.
you guys got to see the magic that Erick creates when you see him doing these techniques. Not because he already, not just because he learns already jiu-jitsu, the basics from good jiu-jitsu instructors, but then he learned it. He learned it from Leo, which makes the jiu-jitsu really like jiu-jitsu, almost like Helio Gracie style. Like he's not athletic about it. He doesn't use muscle, and somehow he still beats like these other advanced rappers.
And he survives. If he can't submit you, he'll survive.
Yeah, and then here comes Erick with which we're getting into your background. Would like to learn more about that, and here you're applying all your variations on these techniques, and it's incredible. People got to see this. You guys got to come try a class for free, and just so you can see what I'm talking about. And listen, I've been around with top grapplers, and I'm telling you, it actually even took me a minute to see it because I had my own thought of what jiu-jitsu should be, and it took me a little bit, not just the time that we weren't, I wasn't coming, but when I finally made the time to come more often, I started realizing, oh wow, there is something happening here. There's something unique and different, and the mixture of the catch wrestling with the true jiu-jitsu that Leo and what you learn to the point system, and it's just. It's really interesting. You got to see this. To me, somebody who has a classical jiu-jitsu background in the taijutsu and all that stuff. It's fascinating to see it in the groundworks, like how it's like how did he manage to put like what we would call like an omotegiaku or something in a wrist lock of kotegaishi in aikido.
Yeah.
And you're doing it kind of from these positions, and I can't even explain. You guys got to come.
I like to chain. I like to chain a lot, right? I tell the guys, build your chain, because the more links you have, the more options you have, right? And I generally like to chain things because, especially if everybody builds a defense in jiu-jitsu by just training, right? There's right ways to defend, there's wrong ways to defend. I do cover a lot of defenses, but if you take a look at my classes, a lot of times I'm showing is a chain of just a connection. One submission leads to another submission, leads to another submission, and it's all laid out. So if you miss the first one, you get the second one. If you miss the second one, you get the third one. Or you might not even need 2, 3, or 4. You might catch it on one just from the basic efficiency of the first move. But it always leads into something else. You always have options, and I think that's important as a jiu-jitsu guy. Sometimes going for one lock and then, switching back to a changing position. That's that's when guys escape, right? Is when you're in transition. That's a lot of the defenses happen is in transition.
And if I can just tandem on that one, a lot of people out there listening to probably hearing the chain concept, but you're not getting the point here. You might not be getting the point. What he means by chain is not like the what ifs, like I do this and he does that and I do this, like combination, attacking by combination.
Right.
He literally does a chain. It's a different kind of chain. We're talking about, and I just have to speak up on this part for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
it's not that kind of chain that you think. It's a chain that, yeah, he might want to do this, but this is a chain where you're creating he's going to want to go there, but you're kind of slowing him down or stopping him because of this is what's happening over there.
Right.
And that's one of the things that kind of blows me personally away. I'm like, holy crap. Because there's a standard, like, you do a kimura and the guy blocks a kimura, you go for this one. And they're all combinations, like an armbar, triangle, choke.
Yeah.
But you did it a certain way that it's like, you're not talking exactly full range basic submissions. You're talking about little movements, micro movements,
right?
Where he might move over here and you can't move away because you put your shoulder in
there.
Yeah,
you're like, blocking something, or if he moves, he's gonna submit himself, or things like that.
And that's what I want you guys to come see and experience. It's really something.
I have a saying: assume it's a trap because it probably is.
See,
and it is a trap. Everything is a trap. Everything I teach is a trap. Everything is a setup to get what you need.
And that's what fascinates me, because in the classical Jiu Jitsu, Jutsu, which is what it was spelled like and correct and pronounced, the real stand-up samurai was like that. It was called actually torite, which means trapping. The old Jiu Jitsu names were Taijutsu, Yawara, and torite. And you can look that up. But so it's funny they use trapping. Jiu Jitsu is actually called trapping. And we're going to get into Bruce Lee later, I guess.
Yeah.
We're going to get into what trapping is and the range that it has. But there is trapping, if I can open that up.
Yeah.
There is trapping in Jiu Jitsu, stand up and on the ground.
Right.
Because trapping isn't just trap and intercept. Now we're talking about trapping as per not letting you move, like a key lock, for example. If somebody doesn't understand jiu-jitsu trapping, they need to fundamentally look at the udegarame arm entanglement, which is known as a key lock or a kimura or aka americana.
Right.
And each of those names has their reasons why they're called that in the different perspectives. But basically, it's an arm entanglement.
Right.
You want to understand what trapping is. That's the best way, and why it's called arm lock. L-O-C-K.
Yeah.
Lock and trap kind of are the same thing. And the word key lock comes from the interpretation of in Portuguese for arm and lock. Or key lock means in Spanish, key is llave.
Yeah.
And llave can be interpreted as the word for key, like in a lock.
Or a lock.
Or a lock.
The actual
like
lock.
a joint lock.
Yeah.
So it's a play on those two words. So just basically you're saying joint lock or lock joint.
Yeah.
Or locking, trap and lock.
Right.
And that's a short brief.
Yeah, no.
I've always got to throw some history in there. Right?
No, that's why people listen, man, because they want to learn stuff, right? So again, after training with Leo is a black belt under Hoshan Gracie, who's one of the Gracies, one of the many Gracies.
Yeah, at the time, now it's probably 80 something. Who knows now?
Yeah, and he's a Carlson Gracie black belt, and he got his black belt from Carlson Gracie, and my professor got it from Hoshan. Now, the thing about my professor is he's trained at a few different schools. He didn't just only train at Hoshan's. He trained with Petrosino. You got to look him up. I don't know how to spell his name. Mm-hmm. He's actually in one of the most famous pictures there with Hickson. I think he's throwing them. It's a black and white picture. It's an old picture, and he's throwing them. That's my professor's original professor. And after he trained with Petrosino, he went over to Alliance, and he's been to a few different schools. He trained with Alliance. He trained at Lotus Club even. That's how my professor Eduardo, my old professor, brought him in to do a seminar one day.
Oh, I was gonna ask you about that. How did that?
That's their connection, because they used to train at Lotus together. And then after Lotus Club, he went to some other school. I'm not sure exactly where. And then he ended up with Hoshan at Brown Belt. He ended up with Hoshan, and he loved Hoshan. He loved Hoshan's style. He loved how he taught, and they got along. They became really good friends, and eventually he got his black belt under him.
Wow.
Then he ended up opening Enigma in Sao Paulo back in 2000, God knows what. And since then, he's been, he's got 12, 13 black belts now under him. And, he's pretty experienced.
I remember, and I hope I can touch up on this. I'm trying to be careful and tread lightly here, but I remember when I first started communicating with Leo, and I was lucky enough to talk and hang out with him. I went to a barbershop a few times. And I remember he showed me the logo. At the time when he was here, he wasn't doing the Enigma.
No, he was doing the Hoshan Gracie.
Yeah, he was doing the Hoshan. And I remember that I saw the Enigma logo.
Right.
And his tattoo in one of his books, tattoo books. And I was like, what's that? He tried to turn the page on me really quick. It was hysterical. He goes, no, don't worry about that right now. And I was like, and me being me, nosy, and I'm very, like an obnoxious dog or cat on your page when you're trying to read a book.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, but what is this? And I was like, dude, I love, what is that? He goes, oh, this is my school in Brazil, or one I used to have. And I remember looking at it and going, that's dope. I used to love the name. I was open on it even then. Yeah. But he was like, yeah, it's okay, don't worry. Right now you concentrate on let's do the Hoshan. So I was like, okay, and I was obviously like obedient, you know me. I was like, all right, you got it. Yeah. If you ever do that, I don't want to be a part of it. I remember saying that, you know? And then that was the start of that. But yeah, so at the time, right, he was doing.
Yeah, he was. We were repping Hoshan because Hoshan did him a favor. He said, you know, you're gonna be in New York. You know, here, take my logo, take my school, teach my method, which is what we were doing. Hoshan's Gracie has a specific method. It's in a book.
Which, by the way, I gotta say this for you because I'm gonna speak for Erick because I don't want him to sound arrogant. I know he wouldn't anyway, so I'll say it for him. Erick was one of the people we're holding it. I'm looking at it right now. We have a book over here. Erick was actually one of the only one that actually took Hoshan's book and interpreted it to English and from Brazilian, you know what I mean? From Portuguese, sorry, that's not Portuguese. And converted it. And a lot of people should know that. I just want to put it out there because it's the truth. And then I'm not going to go from there any further, but I just want to put that out there. You could tandem that if you want, but I just want that to be known because you did put the work in. I know what it's like to take curriculums and convert them or modify them or modernate them.
Yeah, Leo and I, we sat down a lot of mornings and we just kind of went over every position. Over the few years we were together at I think it was 5-6 years at the old location when we were Hoshan, Team Hoshan, and he taught me the whole method from white all the way to black belt. You know, we learned. He said this, this is how you do this position, and we went through everything, and then of course I had to translate it because some of the guys, but not a lot of people read Portuguese, right?
Not here,
And so I made it easier for guys to have something tangible so they can look at things because you have the exam you have to take, white belt 1, you got to know what the techniques are, so
I know because I was one of the few chosen lucky trusted people that I'm honored and thank you for that, you and Leo, Professor, or Maestre Leo Darigo, because you actually allowed me to have it. Cause I had a school at the time.
Because we wanted you to push it as well.
Yeah, and I came in, and he allowed me to be he allowed me to represent as a brown, and he said, just got to learn this, you know, and I was working on it. But you were the one that actually allowed it to happen because Erick is the one who has permission to one at the time represent Hoshan New York. But now you are Enigma New York.
Right,
you know
right,
what I mean?
right.
So I want to say thank you for that. And of course, if I can mention that in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, Gracie Jiu Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, when you're allowed to leave or start your own team, I think is what it is, when you get your 3rd degree, right?
Yeah, you need 3 degrees to start promoting black belts.
And I think that's when I guess he was able, Leo was able
shortly after that, because Hoshan came to New York, the first time he came to New York, he did a huge seminar and he promoted Professor Leo. He also promoted Andre, who's a black belt under Leo. He got his first degree that same day.
So, I was lucky enough to be there that day.
Yeah, you were there, and a lot of it was cool because it was it's every 3 years you get a degree. So he'd already been a black belt for so long. And Leo was overdue for his 3rd stripe.
Yeah, but it was good. It was beautiful. We had a great seminar. Yeah. A lot of the schools that are out there now, we were actually still on the one banner.
Right.
And so you know how it is.
It was cool. It was cool. And Leo hadn't thought about starting, separating himself from Hoshan. It just happened to be a circumstance. He had to leave New York. He had to move to Europe. His
wife.
Yeah, he wanted a better life for her and her son. So he left for Ireland, which is where he resides now. He has a gym over there. But he told me, Erick, I'm leaving. I want you to take over the gym because you pretty much run the gym, with me, and I trust you. And I think I had my brown belt at the time. And he's like, I trust you 100%. Whatever you need from me, I'll help you out as best I can. And
if I could put it out there, if you don't know, Jiu-Jitsu's ranking structure varies from school to school. However, there's a base. if you look at the IBJF rule, you have to understand that the brown belts compete with black, and there's a reason for that. By the time you get to brown belt in jiu-jitsu, you pretty much know all the moves. You just doing the time, is what I'm assuming, if I'm saying that correctly. However, I do know that at that point it goes to show that you already have more than the foundations, and as we mentioned earlier, you sat down with the professor, you sat down with the master, and went over the whole curriculum anyway, and rewrote it. So there's it says, and that was that brown belt, right? Or
I had actually done that from the moment he gave me the book. He gave me the book back when I was a blue belt. So
there you go.
So I was pretty much studying the system for all those years up until even now. Even now and then, I still go back to the book. Yeah. With the book, and the book is a great method. It really is. It's the bare minimum of what you should know to be whatever rank you're testing for. And like I said, I learned it from blue belt on. And once Leo left, I had to keep pushing it because we were still pushing the method here. When he left, he asked Hoshan, "Hey, listen, I'm leaving, but Erick's gonna stay in New York." And Hoshan's like, "Oh, that's good, that's cool. Should I speak to him about doing things directly with him because you're gonna be in Europe?" And Leo said, "No, I want Erick to push my brand, Enigma." And Hoshan said, "Well, that's a great idea, man. Absolutely, go do that. Do yours. Finally, get your own thing, and take it to wherever you want to go. Push the limits on it." And Leo respectfully asked him that he's gonna stay. Erick's gonna stay teaching in New York for me, under me, and he's also gonna push the method as well. And Hoshan said, "That's fine. That's fine. You guys, Leo was trusted by Hoshan very, very, very much. They're old friends. It's like, like Alex, one of my students, should he decide to open up his own gym when he gets his black belt, I'm absolutely going to let him do that. If he wants to teach what I teach, absolutely going to let him do that. It's a friendship thing, And Hoshan and Leo had that relationship, which is cool. And when he left, I stayed and I taught the method for quite a while after that. Now moving forward here, we're kind of doing Enigma as its own thing, right? Which is why I've hybridized my jiu-jitsu. It's a combination of several things. The fortunate thing about, and I mentioned this before, the fortunate thing about being a part of Lotus Club, I had contact with very, very high level, great black belts, and I managed to pick their brains individually, right? I got to train with Jiva Santana, the arm collector, MMA legend. I got to train with Lucas Lepri. I got to train with, I went to Shaolin's and he's friends with Eduardo. I got to train there. I had so many great black belts that I managed to get, contact with. And it made my jiu-jitsu very different. I had all these different styles, right? And that was awesome because I didn't only learn it from Eduardo. I learned it from Eduardo and Eduardo's black belt friends, which was really excellent.
Plus the experience in catch wrestling.
Yeah, and I had researched that so much that, I found the applications, the legal applications. Of course, there's a lot of legal stuff that you can't do, but there's a lot of stuff that's really efficient, and that's why I've hybridized it. I really enjoyed that. And here I am now, almost 10 years later, teaching at Enigma, New York. That's pretty much
rocking it out.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And here we are with John Negron, who are again our lives paralleled, and here finally we're together.
Finally found my way home.
Yeah,
and I never felt more at home. I've always loved this brand. I've always loved the school.
Yeah,
I've loved it we've always clicked.
Yeah,
I've loved it when I was clicking with Leo Darigo.
Yeah, we all have great chemistry here.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Oh my God,
it's hard to find.
It's incredible.
It's hard to find.
And it's sad that I couldn't experience it earlier. I mean, right. But then it's not. We say that it's
we
not.
We say it wasn't the time.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
Because I probably would have bumped with one of the old owners for sure.
I would have bumped heads. Yeah, and this is the thing, right? Everything is clicking now in this time in our lives, both our lives, because we've both had hectic lives. Yeah. We've both been up and down and left and right, and we've both experienced that separately. Right?
Yeah.
But because of that, it shaped who we are today, this very second. and that's life.
I think that's what brings a little bit of that benevolence in us out on the mat. Well, we're just discussing that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we could be the nicest people, but
Yeah.
sometimes we also have the other side of that
Right.
that roughness, the
Yeah.
survivalness that we know we got to be.
Every
rough.
now and then, I catch myself going into old CO mode. And
Yeah.
it's very dangerous territory, right? And you have
Those
it
are the
too.
classes I don't come to. No.
Right? And but
Yeah.
you know, our journeys have been very different.
And
Right?
we're family men.
Yeah.
We have families.
Yeah.
We have girls.
Yeah.
We both have girls.
Yeah.
Daughters.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I meant, daughters.
Right.
And that's, that's a humbling thing for men.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it
Yeah.
also makes us want to be a little softer.
Yeah.
In your case, you're still rough, but but you have a kind roughness. You have
Yeah.
tough love. That's probably if I had to use a title
Yeah.
to express your character. Since I've known you now,
Yeah.
I could definitely see the tough love. You look it up in the dictionary. I think you're
But it's cool. Our journeys have been very very different, right? You have 30 plus years of experience. I only have 10.
That makes me sound so old.
No, but this is the thing, right? This is how different we are, but how similar. Everything, our lives are very much similar, right?
Similar, and it's funny. This is weird. This is so Twilight Zone, not the Twilight movie. 'Cause that's not gonna say the
Those
word.
shiny vampires.
Shiny vampires and wolves that are actual dogs.
Please throw Blade in there. See
Yes,
how that goes.
yes, that's the way to end. That's a happy ending. A happily ever after.
Happily ever
Not
after.
the Chinese massage, but
Okay.
so that's the guy I made it funny.
All right.
Then.
Yeah, okay.
Alrighty then.
No, then. Yeah.
Alrighty then. No, it's not. Anyway, he's laughing away. So, we just went on a tangent.
Again.
Yeah, it's just that time for tangent.
Shut to the nog.
In the show, we're gonna do a time for tangent. I like that.
Yeah,
I like,
we
we're
just
gonna do
need
tangent time.
We need to go off. Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't get it this time because we didn't have Paula. However,
Yeah.
what was the point? It was saying that we're awesome, and I see how amazing it is here. You guys got to come to the school. I'm telling you, man.
It's very much it's weird. The atmosphere in this school, in this dojo, is very, very different than anything else, any other school. We're a family dojo, right? But this is the thing, right? We have a family atmosphere, but we're trained killers, and we teach people to kill.
There's people out there right now going, "Oh my God, what a shameless plug!" Because I just realized that I just said that.
That's fine.
But also they're probably going, "Shit, Doug." Excuse my language, Doug. Miss Brainer. Of course, the family dojo. No, but you gotta come see.
It's very
chill.
different. It's very
chill,
different.
you
It's
know?
and we have fighters here. We have young guys trying to become
yeah.
fighters, but it's not that type of
And
school.
old guys that were fighters too,
Right,
and
yeah.
guys that had a lot of mat time. I
Right.
mean, this is one thing. Like
We have fun here, man.
Yeah.
That's every
That's
dojo
true.
has that.
Yeah,
Every
but we
dojo.
know. We take it to the level.
Yeah, we have our own thing. It's very much it's everybody that comes here has a good time. Whether they're visiting, whether they're having one free class, whether whatever. Everybody has fun,
And we network. We welcome everybody to
Yeah.
come train, drop knowledge, receive knowledge. We share. You know what I mean?
Oh, here, let me get a quick plug out to a buddy of our mutual friend of ours, Julio Rivera. He actually
Hey.
did an interview with me where I spoke about my time in corrections and the correlation to jiu-jitsu, which is pretty cool. If you guys get a chance, find his channel, Internal Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes.
It's on YouTube.
Wow.
And he actually has a bunch of interviews with different athletes, not just jiu-jitsu.
Wow.
It's a very, very cool concept he has. And
I'm gonna check it out.
what's funny is it kind of inspired this podcast, to be honest, because he made an interview of me. I liked how I sounded. I liked what I was talking about, and it's a topic I never really spoke about. Right, it was my time in corrections and how it applied to who the person I am
How can
now.
I want to check that out? Where do I go to check that out?
Internal Jiu-Jitsu. That's the name of the
Jiu-Jitsu.
YouTube
And
channel.
does it have a name of the actual podcast? That podcast?
I think that's what it's called, and it's an
that one,
interview.
yours?
Internal Jiu-Jitsu.
That
yeah,
one's
it's
called-
on there. It's on there
All right,
somewhere.
we gotta check it out because honestly, I'm sorry I haven't checked it out yet, but yeah, definitely you're gonna.
It's
I'm gonna check it
very
out.
cool, man. Julio Rivera, thank you, by the way. He's a nice guy.
Also, a
He's a
really
judo
good
black
martial
belt.
artist.
Yeah, judo black belt, Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, 2 black belts. Really cool.
Very nice guy, by the way.
Yeah.
So.
So again, off on a tangent, but I had to plug him because
Tangent.
yeah.
Time for tangent. That's what we're gonna call that section of the show. And it's time for tangent.
Yeah. So that pretty much covers my history in martial arts.
But I gotta tell you, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure, and I'm glad that you took the journey because you brought funny the podcasting. You also brought me into that
Yeah,
also, so
yeah.
I'm feeling very family in that context.
and then everything happens for a reason, man. We were I guess we were supposed to do this.
Yes.
This is
And
exactly
let's see where
where
it's
we should
going.
be.
Let's go forward, people. We just support people. Keep watching the show. Keep spreading the word.
And the topics
Come to-
won't just be about martial arts, guys. We're going to cover everything and anything we want.
Next topic: should you wear a thong under your gi? If you have a question, also ask it.
Yeah,
Send
go to
it
the
in,
comments.
Let us know.
Find the email. Send me. I'll answer any question you guys want about anything.
Yeah. Even the one about wearing a thong under
Yeah,
the gi.
that's an interesting one for guys and girls. Right?
Do they have thongs that you could put a cup in?
I'm assuming they do, because that's a market that maybe someone should tap into.
Oh my God.
So, guys, thanks again. Shout to the Nog here, John and Eric, saying goodbye, and we'll see you next week.
Arrivederci.
All right, on, guys.